Hey guys, welcome in. This is the third video that is supporting Tarot 101, the first class, the first live class. And I really wanted to do a special video just about timing because this is one of the stickiest situations. And in Tarot 201, we're going to talk about sticky situations. We're going to talk about the court cards. We're going to talk about timing in more depth. But I wanted to do this basic video here for the Tarot 101 class so that you get a handle on how to determine timing. So there's multiple systems out there to make it even more confusing, right? So I will tell you my little system, and it's important for you to sort of land on a system that works for you and stick with it. Be consistent about it. That's my advice to you. And my system, my little system of timing is like this. Whenever I'm doing a reading, my intention is always that the number 5 card in the spread relates to timing. All right, that's just my little system. Whenever I do a spread, whether it's a big 10 card spread or just throwing out a couple of cards or whatever, that 5th card to me is what I look at as timing. So I'm just, it could be the 4th card, it could be the 7th card, whatever you want it to be. But most of my spreads have more than 5 cards. So I use 5 because I want to always have a timing card as part of the spread, okay? So when I'm looking at a reading and I'm determining timing, here are a couple of things that I have learned along the way. First of all, timing is very fluid. Time is fluid because of free will. And I'm going to say this about free will here. Everybody, you're reading about, a potential mate or a potential job or whatever. You need to know that there are other people connected to this reading, and so they also have free will. So what you're attempting to gain here is some sense around how the universe is moving to provide. If you're manifesting a love, if you're manifesting something in your life, a new job or whatever, if you're manifesting that, the tarot can reflect for you how the universe is moving, in what way, shape, or form to provide this or to bring this into your life. Now, we both know that there's such a thing as divine timing. Whenever I see the High Priestess, whenever I see the the Wheel card, it's sort of like divine timing. Those are my 2 goalposts in the major arcana, and we'll get into the major arcana in the next class. But I just want to say that whenever I see the High Priestess and I'm asking about timing, she's like, right? That's High Priestess. Whenever I see the Wheel, it is about divine timing, right? The universe is moving on its own time. So please don't ask me if it's September 22nd, is this going to happen? Okay? Those are 2 little goalposts I use. And so it's very important to understand that things happen in divine timing, and people also have free will to move about. The minute you do that reading, somebody makes another choice, right? So you know that, okay? So here's how I'm going to share timing with you, because there's multiple systems out there. You can pick the one that you find to be the best for you, okay? We're going to go back to the suits here for a second. There are 4 there are 4 suits, right? Swords, Wands, Cups, Pentacles. So from the structure of the underpinning systems of the tarot, the swords and the wands are active, and the cups and the pentacles are passive. So that's a feeling, right? It's like swords and wands take action, and cups and pentacles receive. So by extension, swords and wands are faster, cups and pentacles are slower. All right, so that's super basic. So when you see those elements, when you see like a number 5 card is like a King of Pentacles, and there's tons of pentacles in the deck, and you're in the reading, and you're trying to get a sense of timing, you can safely say this is going to take a while. Look at all these pentacles, very slow moving energy here. as opposed to seeing swords, the fastest moving energy. You see a lot of swords, and the tower, that's another timing element, that's now. All right? Swords are like moving fast. When you see the tower, there's no timing needed. It's now. So the active versus passive, right? The masculine swords and wands are active. They move faster. The feminine passive elements, cups and pentacles, move slower. You can see this in relates to how it relates to the seasons that are related to the swords and wands and cups and pentacles. And I must say there is some disagreement about this. There's the Golden Dawn system, which I don't really subscribe to. What I'm going to share with you is a system I subscribe to, and that is that swords relate to fall, that wands relate to summer, that cups relate to spring, and that pentacles relate to winter. So how you can look at timing in this way, in this little system, is number one, you can look at the fifth card. Is it a pentacle? Is it a cup? Is it a wand? Is it a sword? If it's a major arcana, we're going to talk about that in the next class. So if it's a pip card, if it's a minor arcana card, you can divide it by the four elements, and then look at what the value of the card is. Is it a 7? Is it a 2? Okay. So when you look at that, when you're talking about swords, wands, cups, and pentacles, you can look at it as fall, summer, spring, winter, or this is also something I employ. Swords are days, right? Because they're fast moving. Wands are weeks. Cups are months. And pentacles are years. Pentacles to me, because years, I sort of feel like, remember we just said about like the minute you do a reading, somebody can make a decision. Years feels like a really, like, oh my God, 10 years for this to happen? I have a hard time believing that any tarot reading would stand up for 10 years, okay? Because so much changes, right? It is showing you the potential for this to take a really long time. When I do see, the good thing about Pentacles is when I do see an Ace of Pentacles in terms of timing, or any of the court cards in terms of timing, to me that means within 1 year. Okay, so that's something I want to throw out there in terms of Pentacles, because I feel like when people talk about years, I just think that's ridiculous. There's just no way a tarot reading is going to last for years. Okay, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised because people make decisions. So the first way you can look at it, just to review here, is the seasons, right? You can look at it for the seasons. You can look at it for days, weeks, months, years, and things like that. So here's what I'm going to say to you as a way of determining timing. So you do a general spread, right? Say you do your spread, whatever the spread is called. Okay, I don't want to get too deep into spreads right now. We're going to talk about that later too. Your intention is the fifth card should be timing. Okay, and let's say you get an Ace of Sword. All right, happening in the fall, happening fast. Okay, those are two things you can look at. I'm going to say to you that you can do something separate from the overall reading in addition to that to get deeper into timing. So you can throw out a couple cards. If someone is saying to you, all right, I see, you're knowing that your indicator of timing is always the number 5 card, and they're like, can you give me a sort of an indication of when this might happen, right? And you look over the whole reading and you see a lot of pentacles, you see a lot of big major arcana cards. You know this is a big reading. You know this is taking place over a long period of time. And it's really important. So you look at that 5 card and it's a pentacle. You can safely say it's likely for this to happen in the winter. It's likely for this to happen slower over a slower period of time. Now, separate from that, you do a reading and then you're talking about timing and you're talking about specific decisions or things that are coming across. And you say, let me throw out a couple cards specific to timing. So set your intention for, please help me understand when this thing we're talking about, when this person might come into their life. And you throw out 2 or 3 cards. Okay? Now, number one, you can take a narrative approach to it. You can look at those 3 cards and you can sort of tell a story around that, knowing the fall, summer, winter, spring thing, knowing the elements, fast moving, slow moving, right? You can sort of tell a story around when that's going to happen. So the narrative approach is really based on the meanings of the cards, saying, you know, like when this might happen is when these things occur, right? When you're seeing each of the cards for a little story and you're saying, okay, well, it seems to me it's going to take a long time or take quite a while. And by the way, these things need to happen first, it feels to me, before your new person can come in. You've got to close that door. You've got to do these things based on those 3 cards that you threw out, based on the little storyline, right? That's a very high level kind of interpretation of time. You can also say, okay, I'm going to throw out 2 cards. One is a pentacle card. We're going to totally pick on the pentacles right now. One is a pentacle, and one is, let's say, a page. Okay, doesn't matter what the suit is. The first card is for the suit. The second card is for the value of the card. So you throw out a pentacle, and you throw out a page. So you go, okay, wintertime. And now let me describe to you this. We haven't really talked at all about the court cards in terms of timing, in terms of anything really. Pages, 11th week of a season. Knights, the 12th week of a season. Queens, the 13th week of a season. And kings are the transition between one season and another. So if you get a pentacle and you get a king, it is the last week of winter leading into the first week of spring. You see? You throw out a pentacle and you get a 2. Second week of winter. You throw out a sword, okay? You throw out a sword, don't look at what the value is, just it's a sword. And then the second card, what's the value of it? You throw out a 6, right? Swords are fall, 6th week. Okay? So that's one way of looking at it. It's complicated. Timing is complicated. It's not easy to do this. So I apologize for this. But pulling 2 cards, I think this is the easiest way to look at it. Okay? So you do your whole reading and you're seeing that there's a lot of fast moving energy, right? You're seeing a lot of fast moving energy. If you want to just focus on that 5th card and you see it and it's like, you know, it's like a 6 of swords, you can go, okay, well, swords are days, 6 days. But if you see some pentacles and stuff, you're like, that seems a really short period of time. I'm going to throw out another card for clarification, right? You see? The 5th card is the intention for timing. What does that mean? What does that card mean to you in terms of timing? Look at the suit and the value. If you're just going to use that one card, look at the suit and the value. When you get to major arcana, there are astrological time frames that fit. Okay? When you're getting pip cards, you're looking at the suit and you're looking at the value. So a 6 of swords could be 6 days. 6 of cups could be 6 months. All right? If you want more clarity, then you're going to say, okay, let's just look at timing. I'm going to throw out a couple cards. The first card I'm going to look at for the season. The second card I'm going to look at for the week, the number of the weeks within that season. You see? So there's a couple of different systems here at play. Now, when we get to the timing in terms of the major arcana, each of the major arcana has an astrological date attached to it. And those you're going to really need to study because, you know, you get a feeling for things once you really learn the basics of it. Once you really learn the systems, once you really learn the cups, wands, swords, pentacles, you learn the aces through the 10s, the keywords that go to the aces through the 10s. You learn something about timing. Okay, swords are fall, wands are summer, right? You get a sort of a feel for these elements. You get a feel for fast-moving energy versus slow-moving energy. And it all culminates in this sort of timing question. So timing can be very, very complex, let's say. We're going to study timing a lot more in the second in Tarot 201 and Tarot 301, and of course when we get to the final thing. I wanted to give you a little primer of how you might look at timing, because it's important to have a sense of timeline, because that's one of the things people most want to know. Okay? So I hope this video helped you. If you have questions for me, please send them in the Facebook group. If you don't have access to the Facebook group for whatever reason, I am open to emails. So please do that. These 3 videos, I hope they were helpful to you. I hope they gave you some good foundational review videos that you can look at when you're learning about the basic systems of the tarot. Okay? All right. See you later.